President Ali Bongo stands firm as post-election violence continues to rage in Gabon. Live in our studio, Nigerian performer Seyi Sodimu. And the blurred lines between borrowing and stealing. Hundreds of musicians say it's about the creativity. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Gabon remains tense on Friday after 2 days of riots sparked by a disputed presidential election. Soldiers were deployed in the capital Libreville as residents ventured back onto the streets to buy provisions and survey the damage. Clashes across the city led to at least 3 deaths and up to 1,000 arrests by Thursday afternoon as supporters of defeated challenger Jean Ping, who claimed the ballot was fixed, faced off against state security forces. Demonstrators set fire to Parliament hours after the election result was announced. The interior of the Assembly Hall was completely gutted in the rioting that followed. Television stations, supermarket shops and homes were looted in Libreville. Violence also erupted in other cities and provinces, and the Interior Ministry said. Now, for the latest on the situation in Gabon, viewers Idrissa Fall joins me live by phone from Libreville. Good evening, Idrissa.
Good evening, Vincent, and good evening to viewers of Africa 54. 26 leaders of the opposition are still under siege, kind of arrested at the headquarters of Mr. Jean Ping. But we had the opportunity to speak up. 2 of them, and they say 17 people were killed. And as the Minister of Interior, Mr. Pakom Mubeli Bubeya, was talking about only 3 people. Talking about violence, it did not stop. Some neighborhood in Libreville continue their looting in some neighborhood like Iyaya, Kembo, and even in Pekadous. All of them kids are outside irrigating barricades and looting shops. And until now, that is Libreville. But people forget also to say that the riot reached some other cities inside the country, like Port-Gentil, which is an economical capital of the city, Oyem in the north, Mouila and Lambaréné, which is known for that famous hospital in the center. All those cities, you have riots.
Yeah.
And until now, what's amazing is the government did not declare curfew. The Minister of Interior announced yesterday that only in Libreville we have between 600 and 800 people arrested and about 300 people arrested inside the city. That is the main situation in Gabon.
Idrissa, in terms of the opposition, have they been able to come out and speak, particularly Mr. Jean Ping?
Well, Mr. Jean Ping, we don't know. I know that he spoke yesterday live to VOA. The other opponent, most of them, are right now under siege in the headquarters, in the 4th floor of the headquarters of Mr. Jean Ping in the neighborhood called Charbonnage. It was a little bit easy because we are allowed to call them. Even they told me I could come there and visit them for 5 minutes, but you cannot visit a neighborhood which is blocked by police. So that is the main situation. We don't know where Casimir Oyemba is. We don't know where the former chief of the Parliament, Mr. Nduma, we don't know where they are.
All right.
That's all the time, that is the situation, yes.
Thank you, Idrissa. Be safe. I will keep watching the situation there. Now, that VOA is Idrissa Fall joining us live from Libreville in Gabon. In Libya, field commanders say the campaign to recapture the coastal city of Sirte from the control of Islamic State militants is in its final stages after 3.5 months. Now, the loss of Sirte will be a big blow to Islamic State, which has suffered setbacks in Syria and Iraq. But the Sirte campaign has been halting, with onslaughts followed by long pauses as forces regroup and hospitals struggle to clear the wounded. Islamic State militants besieged in a single residential neighborhood and targeted by U.S. airstrikes, deploying mines, snipers and suicide bombers to defend their shrinking area. Well, for more on the U.S. extension of strikes in Libya, I'm joined in studio by Carla Babb, VOA's Pentagon correspondent. Carla, welcome.
Thank you.
So first, what is the situation in Libya as far as officials at the Pentagon are saying?
Well, a lot has changed. According to Pentagon officials, they say that the Islamic State militants in Sirte have been reduced to just 3 neighborhoods. There are less than 200 Islamic State fighters left in that area. And according to one official, he said that their backs are literally against the ocean. There's nowhere to go.
They seem to even have the numbers of the guys who are left.
Yes, and this is a huge change because Sirte was the stronghold for Islamic State across all of Libya. And so you've seen them be reduced and reduced and reduced until now they're almost wiped out.
So like 200 of them left, perhaps. Yeah. Now, the extension, of course, the airstrikes are welcomed by the Libyans, but the officials are telling you this is an extension, right?
This is an extension. It's been kind of hush-hush. Nobody wants to talk about extensions and whatnot in the Pentagon or the White House, but the initial authorization for these strikes was 30 days. And that 30 days ended on August the 30th, so they have extended it for an additional 30 days because it's been so successful. You've seen what it's done in Sirte, and any way the United States can help the forces of the government and national accord to push out Islamic State, they consider that a good thing.
And of course, putting boots on the ground, but they can see them from the skies.
Yes.
Now, there's some who are concerned that as these guys get, under pressure, they escape. There's some who survive and get out of town. What happens to those?
Well, that is a worry. And so the Libyan naval forces are positioned around Sirte in case they try to flee by sea. They're going to try to take them and get them head on. They've already been in position. There are 2 U.S. ships out there as well. They're focused on the airstrikes, but they could step in and help if needed. And then the Pentagon just hinted this week that after Sirte has been liberated from Islamic State forces, they would potentially be available to help the government-backed forces in Libya if they're needed elsewhere to rid ISIS of additional territory.
Which is indeed critical, but something else, and you can answer this if only you have any information. Some have said, well, there is concern that some of these guys may move to neighboring countries. Have you heard anything about the U.S. positioning itself to prevent these guys from infiltrating across the border to neighboring countries of Libya?
Well, the hard part about that is it's not the U.S. fight. It's actually those nations. So they're encouraging Libya to make sure that their borders are secure, as well as the neighboring countries. But, while they're fighting in Libya, they're not able to use that intelligence and surveillance and reconnaissance, those drones that are striking in Syria or Iraq or elsewhere. They're focused on that area in Sirte right now. So I think you have to take things one step at a time and just keep moving things along. Let's focus on Sirte, and then we'll see where they go.
And of course, there's the psychological dimension to that. If you defeat them in Sirte, definitely psychologically you're hitting at them in Syria, wherever they may be, right?
Absolutely. I was talking to some officials with Africa Command, and they were saying that Sirte had become the nucleus, the second nucleus for Islamic State. So a huge blow, a huge blow if they get defeated there.
Carla, as always, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Carla Babb is VOA's Pentagon correspondent. Now, not too far from Libya, activists in northeast Nigeria have launched a campaign to end the begging tradition of children who live at Quranic schools. The widespread hunger epidemic induced by Boko Haram violence in the region has increased the number of these children, called Al-Majir. Chika Udua reports from Maiduguri.
These boys are learning to memorize the Quran here at a traditional Islamic school called a Sangaya. They were sent here by their parents who live far away. And as part of the tradition, they are required to beg for food.
Begging is luck. Sometimes you get food immediately when you go out. Sometimes you don't.
Thousands of Quranic students are on the streets begging every day in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. For decades, the Almajiris have been a normal part of life here, but these days, more people see them as a nuisance. Cultural historian Bulama Maligubio says the practice has gotten out of hand.
Young kids, the age of 5, 6, 7, have been dropped in Maiduguri here in their thousands. They have no parents, no teacher, no guardian, nobody to take care of them.
Activists estimate there are more than 5 million Almajiris in Nigeria. Usman Mohammed was an Almajiri many years ago. These days, he's trying to reform the system.
If they are begging, some people will beat them, harass them, abuse them, all kind of insult. They have been experiencing all kind of humiliation.
Usman goes around the city to find Almajiris. One teacher, Umar Mohammed, has more than 100 students under his care. He says that forcing children to beg is un-Islamic but necessary.
This tradition has been around since our grandparents, so you can't just wake up and condemn it.
But more people are condemning it. Mohammed Kiana is an activist in the Nigerian capital of Abuja.
Have some prominent people, religious, political, and traditional rulers from the northern part of the country to speak on it. Let's have their position on camera. Are you in support of this? Do you condemn it? Let him condemn it on camera, And once we have that, we can drive citizens, to rally the government, to have it take major policies, that will bring an end to this system.
Ending this system means challenging deeply entrenched tradition. It's only after a long day in the streets that these Almajiris put down their begging bowls. Chika Odua for VOA News, Maiduguri, Nigeria.
We're turning now to business news. Markets trade higher on Friday on a disappointing jobs report. Africa 54 business correspondent Jill Malandrino reports from the NASDAQ.
Good evening from the NASDAQ market site. As we can see, all three of the major U.S. averages opened up higher across the board, just over 0.5%, as traders in the U.S. figure out what's going to happen with this employment number that we got this morning. That's a key piece of data that the Federal Reserve is taking into account before deciding whether or not we're going to take interest rates up. And that's really what the issue is with global central banks around the world, trying to understand how to handle sluggish growth. And as such, they remain data dependent when establishing monetary policy. The employment report this morning showed that 151,000 jobs were created in August, and the employment rate was at 4.9% versus expectations of 180,000 jobs and an unemployment rate of 4.8%. Recall the Fed has made it expressly clear that the labor data is the most important piece that it will be taking into account. Now, momentum has faded in U.S. stocks after a rally added almost $4 trillion to U.S. equity values from the February bottom. Since a slew of all-time highs ended a 14-month drought in mid-July, the S&P has been stuck in neutral and mixed economic reports and speculation over the timing of the next Fed rate increase. So traders are looking for some type of volatility to get back into the markets to make us move to the up or downside. Liquidity is quite tight, volume has been anemic, and that makes it tough for traders to establish positions. So outside of the Fed, the U.S. dollar in our national election could have an impact on the market. A higher dollar has a global impact on trade balances and the consumer, and I think that's what the biggest issue is when looking at the impact to Africa, since it is a net importer of goods. We're also keeping an eye on the OPEC meeting in the next few weeks, but nothing came out of the April meeting, so expectations are very low that anything meaningful in terms of production cuts and supply-demand balance will come out of that. So what does September historically hold in store for the markets? According to LPL research, September is historically the worst month for the S&P 500. But should you worry about a big drop in September? Sure, anything is possible, but the majority of the largest September drops took place when the market was weak heading into the month. The good news is the trend in 2016 heading to September has been rather strong. For Africa 54, I'm Jill Malandrino from the NASDAQ market site. Have a good weekend.
Well, thanks a lot, Jill. Now we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vince Makori. Coming up in our Music Makers segment, Nigerian performer Seyi Sodimu. Stay with us.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They tell you what people are talking about. So for an in-depth look at the stories trending high on social media, turn to #VOA. It's not your typical talk show. From politics to pop culture, hashtag VOA brings in the people leading the conversation, engages the audience, and gets answers to your questions. Hashtag VOA, smart talk for smart people.
Welcome back. It's time for Music Makers segment, and today I'm joined in studio by Shay Sodimu, a Nigerian singer-songwriter. Shay, proper pronunciation, right?
Shay.
Shay.
Yes.
Welcome to Africa 54.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We actually featured your song Love Me JJ last week, and we said today we'd bring you into the studio.
Thanks for having me.
How about you tell me a little bit about this, because the song was from the 90s.
Yes. Actually, I went into music about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The song was originally released on my first album, Born in Africa, in 1998. It was a big hit in Nigeria, London, and parts of West Africa.
Yeah.
And I did a second album, I did a third album. And about a year ago, I started, people came to me and said I need to remix the music because African music is exploding.
Exactly.
And the song being an evergreen and a classic, I was very reluctant, but finally I agreed to do it, and I featured an American R&B singer, K. Michelle, and it's been crazy.
Now, not many people know what this means. What's Love Me JJ? What does that mean?
Well, JJ is a Yoruba word that means gently. So if you think about it, love me JJ, love me tender.
Okay.
It kind of makes sense because that way, women like to do things slow and steady, and guys, you know how we are. We want it now, we want it now. So exactly. So if you're trying to talk to a woman and I was writing a song, I wanted to do it the way the lady would be comfortable with. So I had to put the JJ in to be able to bring in the African music and blend it with R&B and hip hop. So that's why you have to love me JJ and love me tender.
I think I want us to just watch it a little bit and listen to that, and then maybe you can tell me one more thing after that.
Sure.
Let's watch Love Me JJ.
I think of you. Every night I dream of you. Every day I think of you. Every night I dream of you.
Well, I'm here, I'm back, I'm taking over. It's been a long time, you still remember. I'm the African man, exotic lover. Pretty lady, nice to know ya, nice to know ya, nice to meet ya. What's your name? Say what? Love me JJ, love me tender. Don't mess around, not a great pretender. Bad boy from Nigeria, the baddest bumper in this area. Blow my mind with the way you walking. You blow my mind with the way you talking. Oh, stop.
Every day I think of you. Every night I dream of you. My sugar, my honey, my tender lover. You say you love me, I stay forever. Every day I think of you. Every night I dream of you. Every day I think of you. Every night I dream of you.
African woman with a pretty face, slow and steady, wins this race. Beautiful girl, beautiful girl. Come let we talk, I pick you up around 8 o'clock. Give me good love, you give me ecstasy. I give you good love, I be your fantasy. Oh, I love the way you walk, I know go lie, I love the way.
So now, Shay, quickly, first somebody will ask, why did you not use a girl from the continent?
Well, because what we're trying to do, if you listen to what's going on in Africa, South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, there's a blend of Africa coming up to the world. So if you want to bring African music to the international stage, you have to fuse it, like Fela did that years back with Roy Ayers. And it's always good to kind of fuse your music with international stars so that we can bring Nigeria and Africa up to the world stage. So it was a concerted effort to kind of bring Afrobeats, Afro soul, African music to the forefront of the world music.
Now, music in Africa is exploding. We have so many young kids now really coming up.
Exactly.
How do you keep up? What's your future goal?
Well, the thing with music is music in entertainment in short, from Nollywood to music, we have a lot of support from people like you, Voice of America, Africa 54. A lot of people are coming in, so we have a platform where we can promote entertainment. So for me, all I have to do is good quality music and evergreen music, and the platform, the channels are there, from Twitter to Facebook to Instagram, and a lot of platforms like this would help reach wherever you are. If you love African music or African content, you can get it in the world. So
in 10 seconds, can we still maintain an African thing about African music?
Yeah, we have to. I think that's one of the things that I, as a veteran, will always try to do, because we don't want to lose our culture in this music. So I'm really happy where music is at this point.
Shay, thank you very much for joining us today.
All right.
Well, that's Shay Sodimu who joined us today. He's a Nigerian singer-songwriter. Thank you very much. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Hundreds of musicians showed their support for the Bloodlines copyright appeal. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Gabon, President Ali Bongo visits the National Assembly a day after demonstrators opposed to his re-election set fire to the parliament building. And the U.S. State Department deplores the escalation of violence in Gabon's capital, Libreville, following the disputed election results. In the DRC, electoral dialogue opens in Kinshasa as a divided opposition struggles to stop President Kabila from extending his mandate. Finally, Chinese president meets with Senegalese President Macky Sall in China before the G20 summit to discuss trade and investment in Africa. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here is what is trending. What do performers R. Kelly, Linkin Park, and 3 6 Mafia have in common? Well, they're among the 200 musicians who have filed a brief with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. They're expressing concern about the ruling last year in a copyright infringement case brought by Marvin Gaye's children against Robin Thicke, Pharrell Williams, and T.I. over the hit Blurred Lines. The musicians say the ruling could have an adverse impact on creativity and on the music industry in general. Now, Gaye's descendants have won a $7.4 million verdict, which a judge reduced to $5.3 million. Dubai has long been associated with luxury shopping and ultra-modern architecture. Well, the city's newest attraction is the world's largest indoor theme park, which features popular Marvel and Cartoon Network branded rides. The 1.5 million square foot indoor amusement park offers visitors air-conditioned respite from the soaring summer temperatures outside. The adventure park is one of 2 major theme parks opening in Dubai this year, part of an effort to attract 20 million tourists annually by 2020 when it hosts the World Expo. And finally, a new toy line to accompany the upcoming movie Rogue One, a Star Wars story, has been unveiled in a series of original stop-motion animated shorts. The fan-made clips launching on the Star Wars YouTube channel are the result of a competition created by Disney in collaboration with creative network Tongle. The toys will be available from September 2nd. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is due for release worldwide on December 14th. And in case you didn't know, that's what's trending today. Vincent.
Thanks a lot, Heidi. Now, an explosion that occurred during a SpaceX fueling operation at its launch site in Florida on Thursday, destroying a satellite that Facebook intended to use to provide internet connectivity to rural Africa, SpaceX officials said. NASA said SpaceX was testing an unmanned rocket when a series of blasts rocked the site, shaking buildings several kilometers away. SpaceX says no one was injured by the explosion. Authorities said the test was part of preparations for the launch Saturday of a rocket carrying a satellite meant to help Facebook in Africa. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, who was in Africa promoting the internet access that the spacecraft was to help provide through the company's Internet.org initiative, said he was very disappointed by that loss. Now, recently named one of the most promising entrepreneurs in Africa by Forbes magazine, computer scientist Recho Sibande founded and runs tech incubator M-Hub to mentor young technopreneurs in Malawi. About 4,000 youths have benefited from our initiative. Lamek Masina caught up with Sibande and some of our mentees in Malawi's capital, Lilongwe.
Young people from across Lilongwe come here to learn and develop some skills in technology. Thanks to Rachel Siwande, a 30-year-old entrepreneur who started Malawi's first ever innovation and technology hub. About 4,000 young people have gone through various ICT training sessions since she established this tech incubator 3 years ago.
Our goal is to ensure that we can transform these young people from job seekers to job creators, to create jobs for themselves, but also for other young people out there. And in so doing, we enhance the socio-economic livelihood of our country and transform our economy.
The inspiration to establish the Tech Hub came after she saw a similar hub in Chicago in 2012 as part of President Barack Obama's Young African Leaders Initiative.
It wasn't specific to innovators or to technology entrepreneurs. But being a technology enthusiast myself, I thought I'd come back home and set up a similar space, but with an initial and major focus on supporting technology skills and technology entrepreneurship.
Some of her learners have started their own businesses.
Firstly, we're given a project to create a website as part of learning. So we created one for Chrysler Dawson, a law firm company, and the outcome, everyone was very impressed. So me and my friend decided that maybe we should turn this into a business. Radio introduced us to another law firm, and we designed a website for them.
Others have developed mobile applications which are making a difference.
This application, which has all the information.
This app was developed last year to provide information on Malawi's biggest international annual arts festival, known as Leg of Stars.
Yeah, the impact was significant. We had over 450 people download the app. So that was almost maybe 1/5 of our ticket holding audience, and we saw that a lot of people were clicking through, they were reading the biographies about artists.
In April, Panache Jere Elena in Children's Coding Club won a national competition which took him to Silicon Valley, where he met with Facebook's founder, Mark Zuckerberg. Through mHub, Siwande also brings together budding innovators to discuss and share entrepreneurial ideas. Her goal is to groom about 10,000 tech-savvy Malawian youth to be fully-fledged entrepreneurs by 2019. Lamek Masina for VOA News, Lilongwe, Malawi.
Well, that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight at 1800 UTC. And in the mornings today, Break Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. From all of us in Washington, have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. We have already learned what it means to sleep like a rock. But what could this expression mean?
Living under a rock.
That does not sound like a very nice place to live.
So, what did you do last night?
I watched the Royals game. They won.
They did? Wait, they won the whole World Series?
You really don't know? Have you been living under a rock? Yeah, they won the World Series.
You say someone is living under a rock if they have not heard about a major event. In our example, Jonathan had not yet heard that the Royals baseball team won the World Series. This expression is mostly used in a joking way among friends, but it can sometimes be considered rude. And that's English in a Minute.